Hello, second video, Father's Day, the 17th, I believe, 2021, Thursday the 17th. I'm just sat at the top of Fallsgrave, sort of looking at different areas of Scarborough and seeing how, how people interact. I find it a lot more civilised at this end of town. Than the place where I am. The place where I am, I just feel like people are on your back, but they're on your back for the wrong reasons. They're not people that you want to be around, really. I just find it a lot more civilised, like I say, at this end. People are a bit more courteous, sort of looking for properties, but my main priority, just today I've done a 30-minute vlog on alienation and all the things I've been through in the past 10 years. I'm just like doing this vlog, sort of thinking, well, put a few things out there, and one of the more prominent things is just how I don't know how badly men are treated in this country. It's like a standard sort of practice. I'm just sat here mulling over the same sort of issues that are commonplace with men in this country. I know there's a lot of white Caucasian men who are in this predicament, and there's also a lot of I've got friends who are black African who are having, or black skin colour, who are having trouble with the family court system in this country, fighting for his ability to see his two kids. I feel like a bit of a letdown, because I feel I've been low key about this, but the thing is, I've had a lot of shit thrown at me recently, and people if I can say it one thing, I mean, people prioritising a fictional romance, and the thing with that is it takes the attention away from corrupt politicians, the fucked up family court system, the corrupt solicitors, corrupt judges, social services falling apart, the police corruption, and things such as that. But all these things are going on, and these things are very important in many people's lives, and they are important things within my life. But my sort of, basically, what seems to happen, the sort of dumbing down the gossip in Scarborough, sort of focusing on a fictional romance. And I suppose it's just so people won't say, well, why are doctors and nurses being charged parking fees by a private company? And then the local MP is going on the radio backing this private company in charging doctors and nurses to go to work. Little things like that. Even one point of contention, these things should be being mulled over in the office. in the council offices, and I mean, I don't think doctors and nurses should be charged myself. Certainly not by a private company. But it's all money making, and the fact that the MP is backing this private company means that he's working on behalf of a private company. He's not doing sort of council duty. And I've been through this before, and it's just another example of corruption. And rather than sort of a fictional romance and gossip based around that, people should be more in tune with what's actually happening or not happening. There's a lot of money that isn't being spent in the right places. Futurist Theatre got knocked down, and they put a big wheel there. So, it was immaculate before it was destroyed. And I think first thing we were going to do was a car park. There's a cinema was planned to be built on North Bay area, I think. Nothing has come to fruition there. An indoor skate park has been suggested, nothing come to fruition there. And there's not been any sort of real spending on anything to benefit the local community, certainly in the past few years, in the time that I've sort of been here. So if you sort of, that to me is an example of sort of money being spent in the wrong way. And then the fact that fathers have been detached from the kids is just, it's another in many cases. And I'll just point out again, I don't do drugs, yeah. I don't really drink alcohol. I've got a great level of morality. My health is really good. I think considering all the conditions and everything, I think my mental health is a pretty good level. If you're surrounded by narcissists and arseholes, it doesn't help. But the thing is, even if you're in a minority, you've got to consider that you're in a minority of really decent people, Like I say, I don't do drugs, I don't really drink that often. I'm not into sexual promiscuity. I'm not, I don't sort of sleep with people randomly. I'm not a very considerate person. But I suppose I'm having to do this representation of me because I know nobody else is going to take the time to represent my character as I see fit. And I'm doing this, I suppose, for the kids, really, because the kids are missing out on somebody who's devoted to them, and I'm putting the time in, I'm putting the effort in to fight my corner. I've refused to pay money to go further, like £95 an hour for a solicitor to get involved in a situation which at the end of the day doesn't really require a solicitor, because there's not really much that needs sorting out. I identified that at the start. We had mediation. I've been through that, and we got that sorted pretty quickly. The stance of my ex-partner, and a girl that I met 5 years ago, because I've got children to both of those people. They've sort of adopted a I don't know if it's like a useless dad syndrome. They sort of perceive men as being incompetent, and it's like a bandwagon that's so easy to jump on because every fucker else is doing it. There's so many men who've abandoned women, maybe because they behave in a certain way, and they just sort of treating the family situation as a bit not really as important, as maybe I'm sort of treating it. Within my sort of relationships and things, I have sort of had standards and what do you call them now? Standards and sort of points of where I'm not prepared to go beyond. I've sort of been through that with people that I've met. I sort of said, well, I think with my marriage, it was a case of things were said about something which, and obviously when you have a breakdown in those sort of relationships, obviously it's not just one thing, and there's more things, and a couple of things, sort of silly things that were said, have sort of drawn me to a point where I'm just like, well, why am I committing? Why am I, my standards are high, but I am, I'm prepared to be a lot more considerate now. I think now I'm in my 40s, and but I don't think it was working at the time, but the kids, as a result of that marriage, are fantastic. I love them to bits, and I just wish that people had helped me to remain in their lives. Really, it's like my sort of my parents, my sisters, and some were a bit more detached, some were sort of getting people involved in my situation, but not to help me emotionally. I was talking about sarcasm today, and just sort of try to diminish my character, maybe just came across like they didn't really like me, But even though it's the kids that miss out, and that's why I'm fighting my corner, is because it's the kids that have missed out. I'd be a very devoted father, and if I'd have had that time would have been spent very productively, speaking to my son, and I've got so much wisdom to share. I read books, I research things, and the fact I do all these things, I would have devoted time. As it happens, I haven't had as much time with my kids, and it's sad. But the sad things about it are the fact that my parents never held me in a. I think the best thing they could have done really was just stay out the fucking way, and allow me to participate, and I think the sort of the women jumping on this bandwagon of men all being the same and sort of thing, and I think it's like within society people have been conditioned to believe that people are a certain sort of mentality, and they all sort of follow the same guidelines, but that very much isn't the case with me, because I'm an individual. I'm very much a leader, in my own case. I am a leader, and I'm just the type of person who can lead from the front. I'm not a sheep. I'm not somebody who participates in things with a sheep mentality. But that value hasn't been recognised by, and I'm sort of thinking of people like my mum and people who I think should have had taken a lot more care and been a lot more responsible. If I my situation is more difficult now to pass wisdom on to the next generation because of what they did or what they didn't do. Yeah. So I'm just saying, if that had been, if a lot more care had been taken, things wouldn't be as fucked up as they are now. You see, with regards to the next generation, they're going to have it even more difficult because of what my parents failed to do for my generation. But it's like, I just feel like I need to identify it. I need to keep saying it, because it's a really serious thing that's happened. And I'm a very intelligent person, yeah. I've been called out many times. But the thing is, the people who are sort of making out that they're sort of leaders in my life, sort of people that are giving me sort of guidance and what have you, yeah, if they're so fucking intelligent, then why is all this almost come to a standstill with corruption and things like that? Why didn't they sort of foresee the damaging effects of all this sort of neglect, ignorance? Why didn't they foresee that, and sort of, rather than piss about with people, sort of maybe step back even and just say, well, just let them get on with it, and rather than persecuting them, we'll just, we'll sort of be a bit more careful as to how we interact with these people, with our sons, with our, with our families. Words that come to mind: neglect, and I wouldn't be so sort of vocal about it if so much damage hadn't been done. And people will say, well, that's life, you go through struggles. But as I've said before today, I do not believe that people are supposed to make things so much more fucking difficult for the next generation. I believe people are supposed to pass on wisdom and try and help the next generation, and I've said this many a time, and I'm just like, well, why are things being made like, it's like this happened 10 years ago. It's like things made difficult, and then you're left to pick up the pieces. Like, oh well, you're a grown man, you can handle it yourself. You have to go through this sort of frustration in life. That's part of living. But I'm just getting very cold-hearted to the people who've inflicted all this damage because they've been very nasty, irresponsible, and years ago, I suppose when I was younger, people can take the piss, and because you're a young person, you're not. But now I'm older, I'm just realising that all it is neglect, ignorance, nastiness, taking piss. But there's no real love there. There's no passing on of emotional support, I suppose. And I'm recognising that there's people in exactly the same situation as I am, people of my age, sort of falling out with the parents because the parents playing victim or trying to piss about with people. These are just examples of where the same sort of social conditioning has taken place, and it's affected my generation because there hasn't been much care and due consideration. The thing is, I just think things have to change, and there has to be a lot more consideration for fathers within these predicaments, and there has to be a lot more consideration in how the system's going to be fixed, because the damage that's been done, people have no hope of I see how messy it is, and I think there's a lot of people waiting for change, If you can't wait for other people, though, I'm sort of trying to do my own sort of bit, is just trying to sort of put stuff out there that observations of things that can be done, observations of neglect, so that can be corrected by the people who need to correct, even though they're in the latter years of their lives. This still doesn't mean to say they can't correct themselves and sort of try to be more understanding. There's an emotional void with some people, and we need to recognise that hedonism, taking the piss, sort of being sarcastic about things, it's not sort of serving a purpose. Certainly not for my generation or people younger. Anyway, I think I've ranted on. I think I've got so much to talk about, but it's piecing it together in a manner that's easy to listen to, easy to dissect, and easy to understand, so people don't have as much difficulty in understanding, I suppose, some of my perceptions as to where things have gone wrong and how things need to be repaired. Because if you're going to sort things out, you have to sort of be methodical and try and identify where the issues are and everything like that. So yeah, that's what I'm trying to be. I'm trying to be considerate in how to put my ideas out there, how to at least start discussing some of these problems and trying to sort some of these things out. We've got to start somewhere, haven't we? And I think just putting it out there, Anyway, that'll do for now. Peace.